From AccuWeather.com, this is AccuWeather Daily, a brief host-read article. It's weather news in a nutshell. In one of the more active weather patterns of the winter, a series of storms will roll across the northern Pacific Ocean and into the northwestern U.S. and southern British Columbia into early next week. The cumulative nature of the storms can pack a punch in terms of rain and high country snow. Rounds of precipitation will roll ashore every 1 to 2 days, with the amount of low and intermediate elevation rain and high country snow varying in intensity. Now, the storm affecting the region into Thursday will be the coldest of the bunch. It is forecast to bring heavy snow to the passes and the Cascades, making travel difficult. In general, 6 to 12 inches of snow will pile up at elevations above 2,000 feet in Washington and 3,000 feet or so in Oregon. Warmer air will invade ahead of the weekend storm, which could bring the most precipitation. The storm will also pack the most wind of the storms in the series, with gales along the Washington and Oregon coasts. As is often the case with potent winter storms rolling ashore in the Northwest, there will be the risk of sporadic downed tree limbs and power outages. Small streams and the short-run rivers flowing out of the mountains will swell and can lead to some quick flooding. In steep terrain, there will be some risk of rock slides and other debris flows along secondary roads. During the storm siege, 2 to 4 inches of rain is likely to fall in the lower elevations along Interstate 5 in Washington and Oregon, with slow travel at times. However, much heavier rain will fall on the western slopes of the Coast Ranges and the lower to intermediate west-facing slopes of the Cascades. From 6 to 12 inches of rain may pour down into early next week, with locally higher amounts. Over the highest ridges and peaks of the Olympics and the Cascades, a whopping 5 to 10 feet of snow may pile up in the pattern. Rainfall in Seattle since the start of the year is only about 1/3 of typical amounts, with just over 3 inches falling compared to the historical average of 8.3 inches as of Tuesday the 18th. Similarly, rainfall in Vancouver, British Columbia has been just shy of 40% of average. There has been a bit more rain farther south toward Portland and Eugene, with 60 and 70% of the historical average since January 1st. East of the Cascades, precipitation has been much closer to the historical average since the year began, with nearly 90% in Spokane and a bit better than 100% in Pendleton, Oregon. Even farther to the east in western Montana and much of Idaho, precipitation has been average to much greater than average for the year so far. The melted amount of snow combined with rain has been 160% of average in Boise and 260% of historical levels in Great Falls. Precipitation from most of the storms into early next week will steer clear of central and southern California, while some low-intensity wind events are forecast for coastal areas of Southern California into next week. Rain from recent storms should have the landscape and vegetation moist enough to keep the risk of wildfire ignition low. A rare shimmering oar fish was spotted recently at Baja California Sur Beach in Mexico earlier this month, a fish that some believe is a signal of impending doom. Oarfish are typically found in the depths of the ocean, living hundreds to thousands of feet below the surface, and it is rare to spot them in shallow waters, especially alive like the one that was seen in Mexico back on February the 9th. Video of an encounter with folks walking on the beach showed the oarfish was a few feet long, which is small for its species. They can grow to be up to 36 feet long and weigh hundreds of pounds. Oarfish are known as a doomsday fish and are thought to be a sign of an impending natural disaster. As Ocean Conservancy explained on its website, these creatures are seen as big harbingers of bad news, particularly disasters or destruction. Now, the legend is that if you see an oarfish, it is a warning sign from higher powers that disasters, such as earthquakes, are soon to occur. Now, whether that suspicion is true is open for debate. On November 6th of last year, an oarfish was found on the shores of Grandview Beach in Southern California. 1 month later, a magnitude 7 earthquake struck off the west coast, triggering tsunami warnings for parts of California and Oregon. Ocean Conservancy also said that while many legends may surround these creatures, it is unusual for humans to encounter oarfish. If one is spotted close to the surface, it typically indicates that the creature is sick, dying, or disoriented. That's all for now. You can find more stories and regional forecasts at AccuWeather.com, and for your local forecast at your fingertips, download the AccuWeather app. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be safe. I'll be back tomorrow with more from AccuWeather.